Happy Indigenous Native Execution Day. Indigenous Native Genocide Day. That's what I'm gonna call it. Happy Indigenous Native Genocide Day. It's not Thanksgiving at all. It's so weird, like the history behind our holidays, like all of them. And we just like, yay, happy Thanksgiving. No. Hey, happy Columbus Day. No. Merry Christmas. No. Valentine's Day. No. Halloween. No. Let's not do these things anymore. It is so bad. They're so bad. There's so much stuff wrong with it. Just like, let's eat some turkey. They probably weren't even eating turkey. Gobble gobble. Happy Turkey Day. Yeah. No, it's not. This is not a good thing. No, this day should not be celebrated. I do not celebrate any holidays. I do not celebrate any European holidays. I'll put it like that. They're so weird, and it's so old that people don't know like the origins of the traditions and why they do the things they do. And that's kind of unsettling to me. I appreciate the incentives, bro. But no, thank you. Just remember, guys, you don't have to wish me happy anything. No holidays. You guys don't have to. You should never feel bad if you don't say, "Hey, Trap, Merry Christmas." You trust me, bro. You don't have to do that for me. It's like, "Hey, Happy Thanksgiving." I understand what you're doing. Is like, it's a time where most people are in a good mood, which is weird. That's something else with holidays. Like, there's like certain periods of the year where the marketing, the advertisement, the subliminal messages all around us is saying, come together, harmony, love, family, giving, food, festivals, and it's all compounded on us, and it's like decorations and wreaths on the door and all your pumpkins and everything, and it's like, yeah, but why isn't like that all year? It's just like certain, like Christmas, yay, and it's like Merry Christmas, Happy Holidays, and then like in March it's like fuck you, It's like, but why there are certain times of the year where the propaganda leaders really like shower you with all these subliminals to be nice to your fellow man, to be harmonious, to fellowship, and togetherness. And it's only on holidays. It's like, there's only certain days out the year like Mother's Day, you gotta love your mother and send her cards and flowers on Mother's Day. And she's your mom every day. She's your mom every day. You know? It's just weird. It's just weird stuff, bro. Alright, I got that right out the way. Whew, thanks, Wolf. That's for the first comment, so I can just go ahead and get that out of there. Oh, now everybody leaves. It's like, fuck you, Trap. You're ruining Thanksgiving. Probably had their families listening to me and everything. Like, mom, yo, this is the painter I was telling you about. And then I started talking about screw Thanksgiving, and then your mom is like, you listen to this guy? Doesn't sound really positive to me.
This morning, we were talking about it right before the podcast about the guy in India. He was trying to convert them, apparently, Jamie was saying, and they shot him full of arrows. With one of the last uncontacted tribes in the world.
But what a doofus. What did you think was going to happen, right?
James said the guy's been there before, right? Did you say that?
So they knew him?
No, the guy, well, I don't know if the people that killed him knew him. Wouldn't they say there's between 50 and 100 people on this island, I believe? See if you can get a good article on it. Is that the number?
I'm trying to pull up an article.
So there's like 50 to 150 people. They don't exactly know. And in there, say it's the size of Manhattan. It's an island. And they came here from Africa, like, what is it, 60,000 years ago?
That's what I'd read. I don't remember exactly where the article.
And this is near India?
Yeah, somewhere in India or near India. It's an island. This fucking dude was trying to bring him to Jesus. And they said, if you like the guy, we'll introduce you to him. They filled that motherfucker full of, oh, wow, it's in the middle of...
I'm going to say... roasted? I don't know. Smoked is pretty good too, man. Some smoked salmon. Ooh, man. Some smoked kielbasa. Ooh. Whew. Some smoked turkey wings. Damn. But that roasted duck. You know what I'm saying? That roasted chicken. Oh. Yo, this story is so funny. I already posted this on Facebook, but they're talking about that guy who tried to go to Sentinel Island, and I've talked about the Sentinelese like a couple of times because they're fascinating. Like, they have literally kept to themselves for like, some people say like 40, 50,000 years. Yo, they just been on this island just doing their own thing for like thousands of years. Like, just don't bother. It's like nobody gets to come to their island. They're literally some of the darkest people on the earth. Like, their skin is almost purple. They're like pure. They're like pure people, yo. And some doofus tries to go out there with his Christianity. Tell me I'm a missionary. I'm gonna teach these people who Jesus are. And they killed his ass. It's not. It's sad and it's funny. I posted the news link on my Facebook. I was like, keep your religion to yourself, man. Them people don't want nothing to do with nobody. With nobody. At all. Not even me. I couldn't even go. I'm not black enough to go there. They look at me like, what the fuck? Shoot me full of arrows. Ain't nobody. They don't want nobody on their island, man. And this is known. I mean, and there's like at least a half a dozen people who have tried and have died. Why? And the Indian government protect these people and tell everybody their island is a no-go zone. Do not go there. Still try to go there anyway. I'm gonna teach them Teach them the word of God. Man, but I'm telling you, dude, I don't know why, what is it with this religion thing? Like, especially, I remember like years and years ago, I was doing some renovation work on his house, and the daughter was home some of the times, and you know, she's just young and talkative. So this and that. I'm I'm going I'm going with my church to Africa. See, word? Yeah, she was like, this summer I'm going to Africa with my church. We're gonna be missionaries, and we're gonna teach Africans English. We're gonna teach them English. Yeah, so we can teach them the Bible. Like, really? That's your whole plan for the summer? Just go to Africa, teach some Africans how to read English, and then give them the Bible? It's so weird. It's the weirdest thing, yeah. But then this dude say he a missionary. He about to go preach to the Sentinelese.
Near India, I saw Island. This fucking dude was trying to bring him to Jesus. And they said, if you like the guy, we'll introduce you to him. They filled that motherfucker full of, oh wow, it's in the middle of nowhere.
Oh, that's fun.
That bitch is in the middle of nowhere. So they came
yeah.
off of Africa. That's crazy.
How the fuck
Spread
did
that
they
out so I can
leave?
go see all that shit? That's crazy. Yeah. You know what's interesting too? In England, they call people from India Asians. They think of that as Asia.
Because it is,
right?
right?
It's
It
not
is
Asia.
Asia, yeah.
But we got weird with Oriental at some point in time. Oriental became derogatory. Some weird way.
Yeah.
Oriental was normal. Like
Yeah.
Oriental rugs. That was like
Yeah.
a thing. You'd go to Oriental rugs.
Yeah.
That's like if someone was saying, you know, spit toothpaste. Like, hey,
Yeah.
hey, motherfucker, you can't say that shit anymore. But at one point in time, Oriental was like a total...
It was a real thing,
yeah, it was part of the language. But so now we say Asian because we try to be politically correct. But Asia is fucking giant.
Yeah.
There's a lot of different kinds of folks in Asia.
See, that's what some people don't want to admit. There really is no Europe. That's weird. Why don't they just... That's so stupid. Yeah, so it's just like... I mean, there is really, it's only one landmass. I mean, true, the Europeans say, yeah, Europe is the smallest part of it, but really it's not. Like, everything is Asia over. Like, Asia's just one big landmass up there. How can you say that that's not the same land? There is no, I mean, that's what the world looks like. And Asia's just one continent. But then they say that side over there is Europe and the other side is Asia. So like you say, India and Russia and everything, like Russians are Asians. Everybody's Asian. You know what I'm saying? All the Kazakhstans, Asia. Turkeys, Asia. Everybody. Afghanistan, Turkestan, Kyrgyzstan, Pakistan, Mongolia, you're Asian. Rush, Asia. And then you just, all of a sudden, it's just like, well, this is Europe over here. It's like, no, it's still Asia. She's talking about. I just never understood that. That's, it's Asia.
Yeah, you know, part of the language. But so now we say Asian because we try to be politically correct. But Asia's fucking giant.
Yeah.
There's a lot of different kinds of folks in Asia. You know,
What were those, like, the people that ended up on that island?
one dude.
They
Oh, the people that- the original people? Yeah.
yeah. They, how the fuck do you're running away from something to end up there?
Well, everybody's. That's, you know, if you read about the migration of people from Africa spreading out, that's a big part of what they're doing, is trying to get away from people that are trying to kill them.
Yeah.
Like, it's all either they run out of resources, they run out of food, or they're being forced out of areas. Like, new people come in, people escape and survive, and through our entire history as human beings, it's like bigger, more powerful human beings move into an area and kill and rape, and then spread out, and then keep going, and everybody else just keeps going, and they eventually fortify in the distance and get a new city, and they try to hold them off, and then new people are coming through. I mean, there's so many instances, from the Mongols to...
Yeah, he understands history pretty good. And that's a lot of the reason why you still see a lot of tribal systems in Africa, is because our older civilizations were crushed and people just had to run and scatter. And, you know, we lost a lot of shit. And then for so long they tried to capture so many people. You don't want to live in cities when people are trying to hunt you down and capture you. So you go back to living in the wild, becoming hunter-gatherers and stuff like that. It's like you, like, I don't know, the Arab slave trade and colonialization of Africa, it just like pushed, it broke down so many of our complex structures and just pushed things so far back, because the human resource and the human capital was so important to the slavers. It was weird. And that's one of the biggest things in the history of that I got from destruction of black civilization. You said it over and over. It's just like, yo, some people just would rather resort to being wild men than becoming slaves and serfs for somebody else. And that's how a lot of prominent and dominant African civilizations and cultures were broken down almost to the bare bones after like centuries of just war and pillage, where the people just, you know, the only ones who were left were the ones who were able to flee and keep their freedom and keep their little tribes and stuff together. It was like major setback after setback for a couple centuries, and Africa is basically just starting to come around, and it's still under fire from everybody. But like, he just gave like a little brief synopsis, like, and that's, once again, that's why I listen to a lot of Joe Rogan, because he's not a fucking idiot. He knows a lot of shit.
Like, new people come in, people escape and survive, and through our entire history as human beings, it's like bigger, more powerful human beings move into an area and kill and rape, and then spread out, and then keep going, and everybody else just keeps going, and they eventually fortify in the distance and get a new city, and they try to hold them off, and then new people are coming through. I mean, there's so many instances, from the Mongols to the Romans. I mean, you can go back and back and back all through history, but if you broke it down, if you looked at it like a math problem, like, what's happening here? Here's what's happening. These groups of people get together, and then they develop some shit that kills other groups of people, and they push into those groups of people and try to fuck their chicks.
Yeah.
They try to steal their money, fuck their chicks, eat their food, and then they do the same thing. And then people go back and forth, and this is all people have done. Like, there's never been a time where no one was at war. Like, if you ever gone through human history, there's not like, well, there was a period of 100 years where there's no wars. It's never happened.
Yeah.
Never. It never happened.
You're the best guy to ask about this. Isn't it impressive how they built those arrows, right? The craftsmanship, because they're
I
proper
don't know
arrows.
what they look like.
They
Did
flew
they
up.
have pictures of the arrows?
But apparently he died just of the arrows hitting him. So the way I was thinking it was in order for an arrow to be done properly, right? And you could aim and then hit someone and kill him, it has to go through the whole structure of the pelvis.
No, it doesn't have to. I mean, especially if the kid hit him a bunch of times. You know, if they hit him a bunch of times, they could have shot him in the guts.
Even with shitty arrows?
Well, I don't think they have shitty arrows because they need them to survive, right? So there's got to be island animals, and they're hunting these animals. But it's not that hard for these people and these kind of tribes to, if they have the proper wood on the island. You know, people have been making bows and arrows for a long time, and they'll use certain fibers from certain trees, and they weave them together and make a bowstring. And you know, if they have enough good wood and they have good fiber and they have the knowledge, I mean, even if they don't have metal, you could still, to this day, I found one in Nevada. I found an old, I don't know what era it's from, but I found an arrowhead. But while I was actually bow hunting, I found an actual arrowhead from some Native American tribe that they had left behind. Apparently they were like really common. Like people find them all the time. Because you think of the thousands of years that the indigenous people were here and all the different animals they shot with bows and arrows, they figured out how to do it.
Yeah.
So these people must know how to do it too. And if they have enough good stone to make, you know, something flint or something similar to make the arrowheads, or maybe they're using something toxic, maybe they have some sort of toxic plant, and they're just dipping the tip of a sharpened tip into it.
If you dip the tip in something toxic, can you eat that meat?
Yeah,
after?
you can apparently.
But not the area near the
It's a
arrow.
good question. It's a good question. I don't know, but a lot of these tribes that shoot things, they shoot things with poison on the end of their arrows. You know, yeah. Well, the idea is that they want to eat it, right? If they don't hit it perfectly, they're not going to wait for the perfect shot. They're just trying to hit it. So if they can hit it in the ass or in the neck or wherever the fuck they hit it, if they have poison, that thing's going to die. You know, they use poison for a lot of weird shit too. They use poison to fish. It's really strange. They
poison the fish.
Yeah, it's crazy. They take this plant and they smash it up, and they make it's like this green plant. I think was that the Yanomami of somewhere, maybe Bolivia or something like that. It's one of those tribal peoples that lives almost uncontacted, but still like they'll have like Under Armour T-shirts on and shit. It's weird.
Okay.
It's weird, but they're barefoot. And they take these plants, and I forget what plant it is, but they smash this plant up and make like this green pulp. And then they put this pulp in these ponds, and these fish just float. It's some sort of toxin, and it just fucks these fish up, and they just float up to the top. And then they go and scoop the fish and take them out of there. But it like paralyzes them.
It's not toxic to us, I guess?
I don't know, man. I mean, maybe
It must
they just...
be a little, but I guess you have to be really fucking hungry to think, okay, I'm not killing enough or getting enough fruits or vegetables. I'm going to poison these things, and I'd rather die being poisoned than starving to death.
Well, I think these people have been on the edge of survival. Like, they figured out survival down to like everything in their area. They know what's edible, they know what's dangerous, what to avoid, what to cultivate, what to seek out. They just, they know how to do it. So if these people are on if it's a resource-rich island, it seems to be like an island in the middle of the ocean, as long as they don't kill too much, as long as they keep a certain healthy population of animals around and are cognizant of that. Is this these people?
Yeah, this is a video I found on YouTube
Wow.
from 2008 where some fishermen or someone found them and gave
2008.
them coconuts.
Wow. So these people apparently, if you follow the story, they came from Africa 60-something thousand years ago, and I guess probably during the Ice Age, the coastline was very different, right? The water levels were way lower. And then when the ice all melted, the oceans rose, and then we get what we got now. So maybe it was a much larger island, or maybe it was like the Bering landmass where you could get across it. Fuck.
And
At
they
least they're
they
friendly.
must speak a language that no one else, not even close to
right.
anything else, since it's been like so long.
Fuck, man. Here's it combined with language. Throw it here is combined with body language. They seem to have a link. So they were like telling them to throw things and then giving them coconuts. That's pretty cool.
It's crazy how friendly they are without
Yeah.
knowing who the person is and where they're from.
Well, I mean, the dude's giving them free food,
Yeah.
so I think they're pumped.
Yeah.
Getting a bunch of free coconuts. I mean, that's definitely a way to become friends with people.
Yeah.
That guy, if that guy had coconuts instead of a Bible,
Yeah.
he'd still be
He
alive.
probably threw Bibles. They're like, this
Yeah.
is not a coconut, you fuck.
They tried to eat the Bible. They were like, motherfucker.
Yeah, look at that. Imagine some guy just showing up and giving you free food. Wow. Can you see my dick? Is that, what is it? What is this video? This video's outrageous.
I don't know if that's a real translation.
Yeah.
Yeah. A really, so it says a wooden axe, similar to a mountain axe,
Yeah, that's a fucking crazy looking
being
axe.
carried by all men. So they might not even have, like, metal. It seems like if he's got a wooden axe, I wonder if they have what they're using for arrowheads and stuff like that.
This kind of stuff fucking interesting.
Oh, dude, it's fascinating, man. The thing is, what's weird about it is you can't really go there. Like,
Yeah.
you guys ever read or watch that that movie about the City of Z, the Lost City of Z? Is that what it was called? It was about an explorer from England who made his way to South America and eventually got eaten by cannibals, allegedly, they think.
Oh.
But he was looking for this lost Mayan or Aztec city. Was it a Mayan city?
Lost City of Z, Amazon.
Yeah, so he was looking for some, apparently, and they know this for sure now, there's some really, really, really ancient cities in the Amazon, and they don't know what they are. They don't know from when, they don't know who built them.
So they don't even know from who. It's a different
Yeah.
culture.
Well, it's a culture that's long gone, and it's the area where they had the city has been absorbed by the jungle. So they find it, I think, either from satellites or from some kind of imagery where they're noticing these really obvious grid patterns that indicate irrigation and that they had fields, and they had streets, and so there's this English explorer. What was the gentleman's name?
Perry Fawcett. Here's
Yeah, the book's not bad.
Percy Fawcett.
Percy Fawcett. And so this dude went to the jungles of Brazil multiple times looking
What
for this
year was
lost
that?
city of gold.
Okay, 1867.
Yeah. So it's a cool movie, but it's not the best movie, but it's cool because like you get to see the lost city of Z.
He found it before he was killed?
No. But
that
he
sucks.
found something. He found something. I don't want to spoil alert the movie, but it's
watch this.
it's not a bad movie. What's interesting to me is that these people, you just got to put yourself in the mind of people that lived in 1860. And they literally had no idea what the fuck was going on in South America. But someone would come back and, Sir Arthur has a story of his journeys down the jungle river. And the guy would stand up, we met the Uncontacted Tribe, and they would talk about, I brought back pottery, and this is a spearhead, and and here's drawings of the animals that I saw. He's got drawings of crocodiles and fucking giant piranhas and shit.
Shop Overstock's Black Friday blowout going on now. Get an extra 15% off bedroom furniture. Save an additional 15% on living room furniture. And get an extra 25% off beautiful Savavia rugs. All this and more at
So let's find one that we disagree on. I think you believe the official story of the JFK assassination, do you?
More or less, yeah.
More or less.
Yeah.
My belief, and this changes over time, I think that Lee Harvey Oswald was in on it. I think he was a part of it, but I think there were multiple people that were in on it. That's what I believe.
You think there are multiple shooters?
Yes. And one of the reasons why I believe that is because of the formation of the single bullet theory. And the single bullet theory was formed because the fact that they had to account for one bullet that hit the underpass, ricocheted off, and put some man in the hospital. And that before that, they did not have an explanation for why all of these bullet holes, all these wounds were in all these different people's bodies. The other reason why I'm inclined to believe there's a conspiracy was the fact that they found that bullet on Connolly's gurney when they brought him into the hospital. It's too convenient, and the bullet itself is fairly pristine. Now, knowing as much as I know about bullets from personal experience of hunting, you can't hit anything with a bullet. I pulled a lot of bullets out of animals. When you shoot an animal and you hit bone, those bullets, they distort brutally. I mean, they don't look like that. If they go through two people and hit all sorts of bone, that's the bullet that came out of Connolly's body, or Connolly's gurney, excuse me. And that's the bullet that they're attributing to this single bullet theory. If you look at the path of the bullet that goes through Connolly, or goes through Kennedy and then goes through Connolly, that to me is not unbelievable. It's not unbelievable.
That one is. There, you got to look at the other one.
But even that one, see what I'm saying? Even that one is not unbelievable. It is believable to me because I know that bullets do strange things when they hit things.
Right, but you got to combine that with the fact that the bullet came out fairly pristine, which means it didn't actually go through a kind of a bouncy path like that.
Right.
It went through a straight path. This diagram is from a
conspiracy theorist.
Yeah, essentially.
Yes. But the thing
there are
is,
other diagrams that will show the actual path with him. Like, you know, they've got them, the butts there on the same level, and you know that Kennedy was actually sitting
he was
above
elevated.
Connolly.
Yes. So see if we can find one that has the actual seating arrangement, or more accurate seating. The one right there with the red line on the right-hand side, the one on the right-hand side, that's a more accurate.
From above, yeah.
Yeah, from above.
Yeah.
There's also the fact that there was particles. There was more metallic particles from the bullets, more fragments from the bullet in Connolly's body than were missing from the bullet. I do not believe that was a bullet, and I think that that is a very reasonable assumption.
Well, you know what you should do? You should get one of those guns, get the same bullets, get some ballistic dummies with some bones inside, and start shooting.
They've already done that.
Yeah,
Penn and Teller did that.
Yeah, and some people have done it, and they have found pretty close to what actually happened.
No, they didn't.
Within the round.
No. Every bullet that hit bone got distorted. That's just what happens. When you shoot those bullets into water, or you shoot those bullets into like fluff or something like that doesn't have a lot of impact to slow the bullet down, then you get a bullet that looks like that. If you shoot a bullet into bone, they distort wildly.
But the bone was the last thing that it hit.
But it doesn't matter. It's still hitting bone.
But it stopped at that point.
Yeah, but I mean, didn't it hit bone in Kennedy's body as well?
Went through his neck, didn't it? So.
The odds of it hitting only soft tissue, and it's going to go through his neck, and it came out here. That didn't clip one of his vertebrae or something like that. I don't think that's real.
Yeah.
I think also there's a difference between, and this is a fact, from David Lifton's book, Best Evidence, which was a book by an accountant who went over the Warren Commission report and found all these factual inaccuracies and all these contradictions. He found that there was a difference in the autopsy report at Bethesda, Maryland, the Bethesda Naval Hospital, versus what they had reported on the scene in Dallas. The first doctors that got a hold of Kennedy's body in Dallas before they flew him to Bethesda said that the hole in his neck was an entry wound. When they got to Maryland, they changed that to a tracheotomy hole. They changed the impact, and they said that it was that this was not an impact from a bullet, that it was from something else.
Yeah, someone said they enlarged the hole to insert a trach tube.
Yeah, well, I think, there was also a lot of pressure on these people to try to wrap this up nice and tight and say that Lee Harvey Oswald was the shooter.
There was, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's this big thing about the CIA inventing the FBI? The FBI, well, inventing the term conspiracy theory was a CIA thing.
I think it was the CIA.
Yeah, and this was a couple of years after the assassination. There was a memo that went out where they were concerned about all these conspiracy theories that were coming out. And they used the term conspiracy theories, and then they said they should try to basically debunk them and make the people who spread them around look like conspiracy theorists, basically.
Right.
So the theory is that the term conspiracy theory came from that particular memo. But that memo never actually encouraged people to use the term. But yeah, there was a huge concern from the CIA that they would lose the trust of the public if everybody started believing that it was a conspiracy theory.
Yeah.
At least that's what they said. I mean, maybe there is a conspiracy and maybe they're just trying to cover it up. But
did you see the most recent dump of information on the Kennedy assassination that Jack Ruby had stated to people that before the day of the Kennedy assassination, keep an eye out today, there's going to be fireworks?
I didn't see that.
Yeah, those Jack Ruby, who eventually wound up shooting Lee Harvey Oswald in front of the police officers.
And but something like that, there's no, he's dead obviously, so you can't ask him what he actually meant. And things like that take on a special significance after an event.
True.
Whereas he could be just talking about, like, he was going to go visit his ex-wife or something, or he was going to go to the bar, or he was looking forward to shouting at the parade or whatever.
Right, could have been nothing.
You know, people say things, and, you know, after something happens, people go back and they look at everything that happened, and then they say, well, that sounds like something significant.
Right.
Like with the Vegas shooting, there was a woman walking around the crowd in the Vegas shooting, saying, you know, you're all going to die. This is what some people say. And this was like half an hour before the actual shooting itself. So people take that event, and then, you know, since a lot of people did die, they think that this woman actually knew what was going to happen and she was trying to warn people.
Right.
But you also get crazy people wandering around saying things all the time, you know, especially in Vegas.
Yeah, and the problem with "you're all going to die" is that that's a common one. Some guy was yelling out. We took pictures of him when we were in Vegas long before the shooting. It was a few months ago. We were we were in a car, and he was standing on the corner, and he had a stack of signs. I put it up on my Instagram. I know I did, because there was stacks of signs. He had not just one sign, he had like a long totem pole of signs with all these different things, and I was taking photos of it, and the guy was yelling out, "Everyone's going to die." I mean, he was yelling it out, that, you know, God's wrath and all this, you know, crazy religious stuff.
That's a common thing for crazy people to shout.
Yes.
That's what they do shout.
It's not like this woman was saying specifically, someone is going to shoot everyone at this concert, get out of here, this is a dangerous area.
If she was trying to warn them, she would have been a bit more specific.
Yes, very specific, right? If she knew something. Do you find it? No? I know I put it up there, because we were mocking it. Maybe I put it on my Instagram story and it went away. I don't think so, though. I think it's there from, I want to say it was at least 6 months ago. But we were mocking this guy, because like, this guy's got a lot of fucking signs. Like, one sign's not enough. I goes, this is the reason why Twitter only has 140 characters for motherfuckers like this.
I think I remember it was like July, because it was like 120 degrees out too, wasn't it?
Yes, it was very hot.
Really
This goofy asshole had this giant stack of signs. So the back to the Kennedy thing. What do you think happened? Do you think that Lee Harvey Oswald probably acted alone?
I think he probably acted alone. I think like the physics of what happened like is fairly consistent with the single shooter theory. Now, admittedly, the magic bullet is a bit strange, but I don't think it's, you know, out of the bounds of possibilities.
I do, because of the fact that the metal particles. There's more bullet fragments in Connolly's body than were missing from that almost pristine bullet. And even though the fact that it hit Connolly at the very end, if it went through all that flesh and it didn't hit any bone until it hit his wrist, then it would not have been compromised very much ballistically. It would still be going incredibly fast. It still would have smashed into that bone. It did enough to break his wrist, and it would have distorted the bullet. That's just what happens with bullets.
See, unfortunately, I don't really follow JFK Conspiracy very much, and the reason I don't is that there are already, like, I think literally over 1,000 books on JFK.
I've read a few. I got into Case Closed. That was Vincent Bugliosi's book. Is that who it was? But I was like, this guy's got an agenda. It just didn't. There's many books that you could read about the Kennedy assassination, and some of them favor the conspiracy, and some of them favor the assassination. I think a lot of them have merit on both sides. One thing that drives me crazy was people say that you could never make that shot. That's fucking bullshit. That's bullshit. This is why I know it's bullshit, because it was only like a couple hundred yards. Like a couple hundred yards, shooting at something the size of a person's head is easy.
What about Jesse Ventura trying to do the three shots, getting 3 shots off?
He didn't know what he was doing. Like, I mean, first of all, if you were used to that rifle and you practice that, someone said, oh, the scope was off. I think that's bullshit too. The reason why I think that's bullshit is because it's easy to knock a scope off. You have to have a direct chain of evidence between the time Lee Harvey Oswald had that scope shooting that rifle, the moment he shot that rifle, and then you have to hand it off to someone who checks the scope right then. Because if you drop a rifle, the scope goes off. Just drop it. I've done that before. I dropped a rifle once when I was hunting in Wisconsin, and my scope was off by 6 inches at 100 yards. Just dropping it. So the idea that he could have never made that shot because the scope was off. Scopes get adjusted That's what happens when you drop a scope. They move. That's a whole thing about ballistics. You have to check them. You go to the range. You set up a lead sled. You lay the rifle down so it's perfectly stable. You squeeze off a shot. You use the binoculars. You find out where the shot hit on the target, and then you adjust the scope. They're adjustable. So the idea that his scope was no good is crazy. The idea that that shot was too far to make, insane. It was only, I think it was less than 100 yards when they think he made the first shot, which is a chip shot.
Mm-hmm.
That's a shot that you would make without even a rest. Now he's making this shot resting on the window, so he's perfectly steady. The idea that that was impossible is crazy. The idea that no one can do that in 3 shots, that's been disproven. Someone can do it. Someone who's really good at reloading and loading can do it. Just because Jesse Ventura couldn't do it, but Jesse's super conspiracy-minded.
Yes.
Like, he goes all in with the conspiracy theory.
That's the motivated reasoning part of things.
Yeah.
I don't know if he's doing it just for his show or because he really believes it.
I worked with the same people that did his show. The same people that did his show. The reason why I did Joe Rogan Questions Everything is they wanted me to take over Jesse's show after he was done, and I was uninterested.
Mm-hmm.
I was like, I'm not that guy. I'm not like the I believe every conspiracy guy. Like, I think people have a real weird vested interest in proving that things are a conspiracy. I'm interested in finding out what things really are, like legitimately what they really are.
Yeah.
And even if I'm wrong, like I'm not interested in reinforcing things I've already said. If I find out that what I said was wrong, I'm interested in repeating that I was wrong as many times as I can to get it out to as many people as I can. Because I think it's important.
Yeah.
So this JFK thing, on both sides of it. But the idea that this guy who went over to Russia, married a Russian citizen, came back here, I mean, he was absolutely involved in some shady, weird shit with Cuba. He's a fucking weird guy. Like, Lee Harvey Oswald was a weird guy. The idea that he was completely innocent, I'm not buying that either.
I don't buy the idea that it's proven that he acted entirely alone. It's entirely possible that there are other people who are like helping him or motivating him or giving him instructions even.
Yeah.
The thing I don't think is really proven is the additional shooter theory.
It's not proven, and there have been people that said they heard things from behind them.
Mm-hmm.
The problem with that is chaos. When you have gunshots, first of all, gunshots in an area like Dealey Plaza, the echoes ring out, and people claim to see things and hear things. They even believe themselves. If you tell someone that you heard something in the bushes and then you run away, that person will say, I heard something in the bushes, and then other people will repeat it. It becomes the narrative, and it just gets, it's really hard.
Create memories.
Yes,
for people.
You can.
You can point to somebody and say there's somebody there, and they'll think there's somebody there later because the brain is so chaotically working, it forms memories in a very weird way.
Especially when it comes to something that's so significant, like the president getting shot or any sort of violent thing. Does this Trump thing bother you with the tax returns? No, not at all. That bothers me a lot. Really? Yes, because I want to know how much money he makes from Russia. He's got significant business ties with Russia, apparently.
Were you concerned about Hillary's ties with Russia?
Sure. No, look, I'm no Hillary supporter by any stretch of the imagination. I think she's impossibly corrupt. I think she represents this system where people get to a place of influence and they use that influence to make massive amounts of money by giving speeches to bankers and finding ways to profit. And look, they're shutting down the Clinton Foundation, right? You're aware of that, right?
Yeah.
Like,
this
this is. Yeah, I mean, this the whole thing was a big. As soon as she doesn't have any power anymore, gee, how weird that this whole thing is shutting down. It's a pay-to-play scheme.
Yep.
And that's really what it's been the entire time, and everyone knows that. But it's one of those things where the left didn't want to talk about it because it weakens their position, it strengthens the right. But by not talking about it, it makes them extremely vulnerable as well. So I'm no supporter of anything that she stands for or Bill stands for, especially now. But he makes me nervous. They're spending more money on travel, and he complained how much Obama spent on travel. Mm-hmm. Trump will have spent more money on travel in the first 7 months than Obama did in the entire 8 years he was in the White House, because he's flying back and forth to Mar-a-Lago, back and forth to Manhattan. He's doing whatever the fuck he wants. He's flying his kids when his kids have to fly to do business for him, when they're opening up casinos. Secret Service. Everything is being done with taxpayer money.
He is the most
very spooky.
consistently threatened president in history. I mean, the Daily Mail printed this. No, sorry, the Daily News in New York printed this list of how many people would have to be killed to get to a Democrat. And they go, we're just throwing this out there just so you can see. It would have to be this person, and then the vice president, and then the secretary, then the postmaster general, and blah, 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 blah. And you go, why are you publishing hit lists?
Why would they do that? Because people
It's common. I've seen it all over the place.
People will read it.
Comedians are talking about it too. Like, let's just take him out. It's got to be taken out.
Comedians are saying
Michael
that?
Moore said something strange could happen before.
He's got some crazy
Joy
website.
Behar said something like that too.
Well, that was Sarah Silverman too. She had this thing. She was advocating. She was saying that once the military steps in, the Mad King will no longer be there. Like, what?
Yeah.
You do not want the fucking military to run the country ever. Do you understand what that means? If they can kill the president, they can kill you too. You have to be absolutely out of your fucking mind to want the military to step in and run the country. You are advocating a military dictatorship. Because, by the way, that's what happens when the military comes over. When they take over, you don't get a vote. There's no fucking vote now. That's all gone. The people with the guns are now running things. And they do whatever the fuck they want. And it's very inconvenient for them to have to sit down and listen to people who go to Largo on Tuesday night to watch Sarah Silverman speak. Like, it's very inconvenient for them to take your opinion into consideration, and they're not going to.
Well, the implication there too is that she's running it. Like, General Brigadier Judd Apatow is calling out the commander, General Patton Oswalt.
I just don't think they've thought it through. They haven't thought it through.
They never think it through. Because it's just religion. It's all platitudes. It's all mods and rockers made up shit.
What's also, there's a lot of posturing online. When you're making these statements online, you're doing it to not just because you have something to say, which I believe there's something there, but also because you want love. You want people to like what you're saying. You want people to retweet it. You want people to say, hey, that guy is really on the ball. That girl is really on top of politics. Yeah, you go, girl. You know, you're saying the right things. Yeah, fuck him. We got to get him. But they're not thinking this thing out. You had a contest. There's a fucking contest. The person that you had go against the person that you didn't want to win sucked. So the person who won the fucking contest. You can't just come in and say, now the military has to take over because I don't agree with the results of the contest.
Yeah.
We have a country. The country's filled with 350 million people. Enough with your shitty electoral college system decided that this guy should win the contest. He won. He won fucking fair and square. Whether or not the Russians were involved in hacking the DNC, take that aside. Look at it for what it is, because what the Russians exposed was fucking corruption.
And they're obsessed with these emails, and I go, you know, that's not what lost it for her. There was no real smoking guns in those emails. There was what's her name coming with questions for CNN. There was Jake Tapper looking dirty in there.
What did Jake Tapper look dirty from?
It looked like he was getting questions, talking points from the DNC.
Well, there was also the very clear collusion where they were making sure that Bernie Sanders did not win the primaries.
Right.
That was where it was most disturbing to me, because
was that leaked through emails?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. Yeah. I mean,
so she did something corrupt.
Yeah, she did something corrupt. And they're saying, well, the Republicans didn't get exposed. And well, the implication is the Russians had something on them, but there was a deal. But how do you know that's the case? They might not have done anything illegal. That's also possible. It's possible. It's possible that if you look at the very minimal amount of things that were done by the DNC, there's just a few incidents, none of them landed anybody in jail, right? So I think we can kind of agree that whether or not they're corrupt, they're fairly minimal. Even though you are fucking with democracy. I mean, that's what you're doing when you're rigging the primaries. You're fucking with democracy. No one went to jail. So the worst case scenario that was attributed to them was still not enough to warrant a criminal investigation or jail time. Then you have the other side, and you're supposed to assume that their side was more egregious, or was it equal and just not exposed? Like what? Look all the shit that was exposed. Look at that Billy Bush interview. You're telling me that's not worse than anything that was exposed on the other side as far as like public opinion?
It seemed to resonate more. I don't know why. It was just a dumb joke, but it seemed to be That's what that march was. It was a pussy joke march. Look, Trump won because of transgender bathrooms. He won because of the aggrievement industry. He won because of the liberal media spinning stories. He won because we're all sick of government.
And Obamacare. And
Obamacare.
There's a lot of factors.
There was so much animosity built up against the establishment that when Rodney Dangerfield showed up in tartan pants and said, hey, whoa, what, someone stepped on a duck? We all went, that fucking guy. I want him to come in and just blow it all up and let's start from scratch. It wasn't leaks.
But the ties to the Russians, that doesn't bother you at all?
No.
The fact that he won't release his taxes, it doesn't bother you at all?
No.
That bothers me. Because we should know where money comes from.
But look at what they do. Look at this obsession with reframing things. Like Milo's sentence has been construed to mean he wants 13-year-olds to have sex all the time with adults. Every time they get like Ann Coulter said, our blacks are better than their blacks. She meant conservative blacks tend to be more well-researched because they get a hammering at Thanksgiving from their family, and they're not conforming to the majority of their race, so they tend to be hardened. That gets construed into, Ann Coulter thinks we still have slaves and we own blacks. Right. So you can just see the way these tax returns, especially in an era where we seem to hate entrepreneurs and we seem to hate wealth. I mean, I've heard so many people criticize Trump saying he's a billionaire, or the Betsy DeVos, she's a billionaire, and you go, since when is that a fucking insult? That's the only thing everyone on earth wants to be.
Well, okay. I mean, you're kind of setting up a bit of a straw man with that, because I don't think that's just what people are challenging and what people are upset about with Trump. What they're upset about is that they believe that he might be influenced by foreign governments that have a vested interest in controlling our democracy. And that's what the Russian thing is scary. If he's making a considerable amount of money in Russia and a considerable amount of money in China, you have to wonder whether or not he will be influenced by that financial tie, by those financial ties, and whether or not that will influence the policy that he creates in this country, whether or not he allows things to happen that we don't think should happen just so that he can profit.
Valid concern. But it's not proven yet, and if it is proven, we'll drag him out of the White House by his heels.
Right, but don't you think that the only way you're ever going to really prove that is by seeing his taxes? You have to see his tax returns.
No, people don't understand how business works. That's why I bring up this anti-entrepreneurial age, like with the bankruptcy laws. In the 90s, everyone was taking advantage of bankruptcy laws because the government was so bad at its job. So Trump had to go on board. It's the same with his manufacturing, his ties in China. I've tried to make things in America, like toy dolls. They were going to be 17 times the price if we didn't make them in China. So it wasn't like it would be a challenge. It just wasn't possible. Once that system is like that, you have to adhere to that system if you're going to eventually change it. And I think people are going to see these tax returns. They don't know what the fuck they're doing, and they're going to go, oh, here's proof that he's in bed with these people. But
well, some people are going to be able to analyze them and come up with accurate assessments of where he's being influenced and where he makes money and why that could be a problem and why it could be a conflict of interest. But we should be able to have that information. And every single president before him has been forthcoming with that information. Every said he was going to release it.
A financial loser.
Maybe, but he said he was going to release it up until the moment where he got in, and then he said, "No, why should I know?"
Yeah, I guess I don't know.
Do you don't think they should force him to release the tax returns?
It's fishy to me. Like these people, they're worried about foreign influence. We had Hillary showing us her foreign influence.
No, look, you're right. You're right.
We showed her selling the presidency, having Bill Clinton do a talk about this.
But that doesn't exonerate Trump, right?
No, but where were you then?
You're right. But we're not talking to them, right? We're talking to me, and I'm not a left-wing Hillary supporter in any way, shape, or form. I just think that if we're going to have a president, we have to have some pretty universal rules that we follow, and one of them should be the president should be beyond influence by foreign governments, and there's really not a whole lot of ways to tell what's influencing you other than tax returns.
So you're implying that in these tax returns you're going to see massive checks from Russia?
I'm not saying that. I'm saying we should find out. I mean, you should absolutely. You're the president. You shouldn't. It's very eroding. It erodes the public confidence if you hide that, if you conceal that, if you don't tell us where you have your money stored. You don't tell us where you're making money, where you have bank accounts, there's a lot of factors involved in a guy like Trump who's running a massive global empire. And if we don't know like where he's being influenced through his financial connections, I feel like that's really problematic, and I think it's a real dangerous thing to deny it, because it's always just been what presidents do, and we've always said it was a good thing. And I always thought it was law. I thought it was mandatory. I never knew that there was a way to get around it.
They're being under audit right now.
I thought that was over.
He says it's still going, and it's been going since the 70s or something like that.
Oh, that's
80s.
Hilarious. So he just has to keep the audit going, then he doesn't have to tell us how much.
I guess. I mean, I understand your logic. The bigger picture here is I think that people don't understand that he took a major hit and becoming president financially, and I think that was part of the appeal. Americans went, holy shit, you're putting it all on the line for us?
But he's
You're
not.
losing tons
His
of money.
sons are running the business, and
I guess,
they're
but
doing
Trump,
a great job
the
doing
brand
that.
took a huge hit.
Do you
and
think
not,
so?
Oh, yeah.
How so?
His residences, the golf courses.
Well, at Mar-a-Lago, the attendance is up, and they raised the admission fee to $200,000 a year. That's how much it costs now to join there. And
Okay,
they're
well,
up
my
more than
understanding is the brand with his residencies and his golf clubs and everything else took a major hit, and I understand that because it's like if you're in New York and you say, we're a Mets mattress company. Well, it's not that people are anti-Met, but now Yankees fans don't want your mattress. So saying anything political when you're a brand like that is going to lose you 50% of your followers. And he went on a limb, and if he had lost the election, he still would have had that brand damage without any of the benefits. And people saw him put everything on black, and they went, I appreciate you risking that.
Has that been proven that his brand has been damaged? Like, if there's been any studies of, like, attendance or residencies dropping?
Yeah, pull that shit up.
Wasn't the people that owned condos in one of the Trump buildings tried to change the name?
In New York, they literally ripped the word Trump off of their building.
They did do that, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
They had construction workers
These are
come in.
people that own condos in that building, right?
Yeah.
So it's a place where you buy the New York's so weird like that. You buy your apartment. It's so strange. But they pulled the Trump name down. Now, whose idea is that, and how
I
did they
guess
get away
the
with
board
that?
all agreed. It was a
Wow.
Democratic decision, and they said we don't want this on
Well,
the
they probably
front.
don't want to be targeted too, because I was there right after the election. I just happened to be there because the UFC was there in Madison Square Garden right after the election. So I walked to the gym, and when I came back, it was like while we're in the gym, the riots or the parade, the march started. And so we walked back right in the thick of it, and they were parked out in front of the Trump Tower, just fucking screaming.
What a bunch of fucking losers. I saw them
Donald
project.
Trump, KKK, racist, sexist, anti-gay. This guy just kept screaming
Anti-gay.
that.
Where did that even come from? They did another thing where they first of all they danced outside of Mike Pence's house. He's not even there. Like he gives a fuck. He never said gays can't dance. And then they just do that in New York. They start making out with each other in front of the Trump building. Like he's gonna go, oh, stop it!
Stop it, I'm evil, I can't see you
I'm
dance.
Gargamel from the Smurfs. I hate that.
Well, it's the same thing we were talking about earlier with labeling Milo a Nazi and fascist and homophobic and promoting genocide. If you just say those words and define someone, you immediately put them in a nice box that you can attack.
Right.
And so by someone, this guy was right next to me fucking screaming it. Donald Trump, KKK, racist, sexist, anti-gay. This was hilarious. He saw a black guy coming. He starts yelling, Black Lives Matter, Black Lives Matter. I was like, oh, you son of a bitch.
Well, they come up with this concept that the president is pro-hate. So then they go, hey, Trump, I'm against hate. And he goes, that's nice. So they build their straw man, and then they're attacking him and lighting him on fire, and the rest of us are going, I don't care that you're lighting a scarecrow on fire. You look fucking ridiculous.
Well, it's not empowering their cause to be exaggerating about his stances on things like gay rights or any of these other things. It's not empowering. So you say he's KKK, when you say he's anti-gay, when you say he's racist, without like real proof. Like you could say that he has said some very racist things about some Mexicans. You can say that.
No, you can't.
Well, you could say that he's talking about all the rapists and the murderers that are coming over from
80% of
Mexico.
illegals who cross the border, the women get raped. They're at the point now where these women just take contraception as part of the deal. It's almost like it's not rape at this point because it's a currency.
Okay,
Right, pussy
so
is
you're
part of
talking
the
about
price.
the people that are coming across.
He was saying they're sending their rapists, and they are. Mexico has a program where they send their criminals over the
I don't
border.
think he did a good job of expressing that, if that's what he really wanted to say. And I think he could have been more measured, and he could have done it in a way that would, but that's not how he talks. He could have done it in a way that would have removed any doubt as to what his intentions are or how he feels about people.
Right, but it is chess-like. Sometimes he talks like an idiot. They're doing bad things.
Mm-hmm.
And then you realize 4 days later, holy shit, that was brilliant. So with the Mexicans thing, these Mexicans are rapists. You go, what? And then you look it up and go, holy shit, 80% of these women get raped crossing the border by these coyotes? Holy crap. And then another example of this, him being 4 steps ahead, is when he says, he's trying to do this travel ban, right? Muslims are a threat to America. And everyone goes, that's crazy. And then he says, the press isn't reporting on the following terrorism cases. This. He lists about 20. So then the media goes, that's not true. We reported on this. We reported on that. We reported on the London bombing. We reported on Benghazi. We reported on this. And then he duped them into talking about terrorism for 3 days straight. All of a sudden, his travel ban looks pretty reasonable.
Oh, that's interesting.
So he's often setting a trap for people that they come bounding into.
Well, whether or not he's doing it on purpose or whether or not just by finding things that he can say that back up his point, he's starting that conversation off in a way that they wouldn't ordinarily start off.
It might have been what happened with Sweden, where he goes, look what happened with Sweden last night, on a particularly dead night in Sweden. Now you could say, look how many blacks died in gang warfare today in Chicago. It might be none today.
Right.
But the average this year is 2.
Right. And
so you look it up and you go, holy shit, 780 people died in Chicago this year?
Is today the 22nd? There was a significant event on the 21st in Sweden.
Massive last night. Yeah.
Yeah, look, Sweden has got problems. Europe has problems. They definitely do. And whenever you have people from one culture that immigrate into another culture and they're disenfranchised and poor, and they have really, I'm going to keep going with it, and they also have a really restrictive, fucked up culture that they're coming from, and they want to impose that culture on the people that live in Germany or wherever, and they want women to start wearing long dresses, and they treat them like they're whores if they don't. That's all fucking real dangerous. They're from a different part of the world, and it's a part of the world that hasn't changed much in a long time. Yeah. And that part of the world, I mean, you could call it culture, you can call it religious tradition, but whenever you're dealing with a part of the world that still has honor killings and female genital mutilation, and you don't let women drive, and women aren't allowed to vote, and you have this incredibly restrictive world that you're existing in, and then you bring that world somewhere else, you're gonna have a culture clash, and you're seeing that. And this is if you want people to be free and you want people to have the ability to integrate into a more free culture like America is, you also have to be honest about what the consequences are. And you have to be honest about what kind of culture they're coming from. And as soon as you talk about that, you get labeled an Islamophobe. As soon as you talk about this incredibly restrictive, misogynistic culture that's based on an ancient series of rituals and beliefs, you become a racist and a bigot by talking about a reality.
Watching the second airplane go in live, standing in an apartment in San Diego, thinking, well, this might change some things.
Yeah, I remember just waking up. Someone called me.
Where were you living at the time? Up here?
I was here.
Yeah.
I was getting some phone calls from friends. I was like, what? Turn on the news, turn on the news. You turn on the news and like just having it all sink in, like, what the fuck?
Yeah.
And then me and, man, I used to have a picture of it. Me and Eddie Bravo and Joey Diaz went to get burritos, and there wasn't a fucking plane in the sky, and we were hanging out that day because all air travel had been suspended, and we were just hanging out thinking how fucking bizarre it is. We're like, dude, are we at war? Like, what? How is this going to change everything?
Did Eddie feel better because there weren't any contrails up there?
He wasn't the same guy back then.
He wasn't that deep into it?
No, he liked aliens back then.
Oh, fuck.
He was into like Nibiru. He as he became older, he became way more conspiratorial.
I have a hard. And I know I've texted you before, like, hey, does he actually think those things, or is he?
He loves
messing
conspiracies. I think he thinks of them almost like some people like paying attention to sports. But then there's also like Illuminati stuff that he legitimately worries that like Hillary Clinton is going to off him because he talks too much shit about. Like I think it's entirely possible the Clintons are murderers. I think it's entirely possible.
Themselves or outsourced?
Outsourced.
Yeah, I don't think they have. I don't think they have the stones to do it themselves.
I don't think so. But I think they've definitely made some calls, or at least had some meetings. There's too many bodies. There's too many people attached to them that were in critical positions that either, like one recent guy vanished. There's that Seth Rich guy who's the New Yorker guy who worked at the DNC that got shot. There's enough of them, and they go away. Those stories go away. The one that I pulled up the other day, who do we do in the podcast? Was it Callan? The guy who had dirt on the Clinton campaign?
It was
Callan,
an
academic, and he vanished. The guy vanished. You don't hear about it. This guy was about to like give dirt on the fucking Clinton Foundation, and they're like, whoops, he's just not around anymore. Can't find him.
I think their ability to hide, and not just theirs,
This
but
guy, academic at heart of Clinton dirt campaign, vanishes, leaving trail of questions.
Is he still missing?
Oh, this is a part of the Russia investigation. That's right. It wasn't the Clinton campaign. It wasn't the Clinton Foundation. Yeah, he's gone, man. He's fucking missing. Poof.
I just think it's amazing the ability for people to have the public face and then who they are.
Mm-hmm.
I have not personally had any interactions with Hillary Clinton, but I have some firsthand friends that have had direct interactions with her from either a security detail perspective or being on the ground and securing an area that she was traveling through. And the public face that she puts on and how she treated those individuals, up to and including people that were tasked with her personal security up close detail. The stories that those people have would melt your hair. But none of those stories come out. There's the person that she, portrays herself to be during the election cycle, and this is who I am. And then you talk to all these people who live at a day-to-day level with these people, and the difference between the two is like sitting there trying to broad jump the Grand Canyon. It absolutely blows my mind. The stories about her in particular and her hatred, or what they had told me, her hatred for basically and essentially people in military or people who were there to support her doing her job, just the anger and vitriol that she would attack those people with on a daily level is unbelievable.
Anger at the military and anger at people that she was literally campaigning to be the commander-in-chief.
Yep.
Of the military.
Yep. Just because it comes out of your mouth.
How did she behave to them?
One of the best stories that I have was, I won't say the agency that the person worked for, was basically she was exiting the White House, and he said, "Good morning, Mrs. Clinton." And he was in a uniform at the time, and she stopped and turned around. She said, "Hey, why don't you go fuck yourself? Don't talk to me when I'm, going in between place A to place B," wherever she was going. Got back in her car.
Go fuck yourself?
Yep. I have that version of a story. Again, not personally from me. I'm basically saying the things that I've heard other people say to me in confidence directly.
But they're uniformed, these stories.
Correct. Uniformed, whether that be, it could be a military, Secret Service, fill in the blank. They wear a uniform.
But uniform also in the way these stories.
100%. It's exactly the same behavior when the cameras are not rolling. And it's fucking terrifying because, yes, she is campaigning, or was campaigning to be the commander-in-chief of, from what I can tell, again, having no direct relations with this person, a person that despises almost, I would describe it as that, is what the organization stands for. Unbelievable.
I'm not surprised. What stunned me is how the left was willing to just absolve her of her she was against gay marriage until 2013. Her obvious belief system, like who she actually is versus like what you don't know.
Yeah.
Like what she's doing is being a slick politician just like her husband.
Publicly, she's the tide. She'll rise and fall with whatever the trend is.
But the 2013 thing, like the fact that, like, how could, who the fuck who's educated, who the fuck who's a Democrat at 2013 still thought that a marriage should be between a man and a woman? Who gives a shit?
Yeah.
Like, she did because that's what she does. She licks her fingers, she finds out where the wind is blowing, and she goes that way. And when you see the difference between what Comey said about the investigation and what the investigation had found on her emails and what the illegal activity that she had participated in versus what she said, you know, with the deleted emails, the 30,000 deleted emails and all that stuff, and when there's a video that shows what he said versus what she said, and they play them back to back with each other. It's like how anybody could support her. The idea that you wanted someone other than Donald Trump, I get it. The idea that you wanted a woman, a historical first for equality, I get that too. But this is not your one. There's got to be a lot of women out there.
The two choices we had out of what, 360 plus million people now?
Yeah.
God
They're
damn.
insane.
It's proof that the system is broken.
Yeah, I agree. It's compromised for sure. You know, the only thing good about having a guy like Trump in is he's not from the system, is that he used all of his money and kind of jumped in, and the financial system is still being supported, obviously, because he's a big part of it, but the political system is in chaos. I mean, he's not a part of that at all, and never was. So besides donating money to them, that was the only thing that people thought was a saving grace about him being in office. Like, let's see. But I think he's crazy. I think he might literally have dementia.
I just wish that somebody would grab his phone.
They try.
No, just like real quick and just modify the app so that before he hits tweet, it goes to like one or two people who give it just a quick sanity check. And then they're like, yes, we'll approve.
He check Twitter, make sure it's up. He checks his comments. He fucking blocks people.
I know. People are proud about that. I've heard you talk about it, and I've looked at it like, I'm blocked by presidents. Like, man,
that's hilarious.
But again, I look at that as people have their head down, not paying attention to what they should be paying attention to, because in those seams of people losing their mind over a tweet, what the hell is getting passed through in regulations and bills? And I'm like, that's the shit that scares me.
The EPA shit scares me the most because, you know, and what they're doing with the national monuments. There's people they had a meeting this morning. What's that? Yeah, what did he do?
Two different parks that, I can't remember them, but he shrunk them by a whole lot. One was like 1.8 million.
Yeah, it's very scary.
He's carving out land and national monuments for privatization.
And there was one that they were talking about in Alaska. It's very close to a gigantic salmon fishery. Trump shrinks Utah monuments in historic move.
I wonder which one.
Make that bigger, please, so I can read it. If only the sandstones could sing, imagine the stories they tell of dinosaurs, mammoth hunters, and ancient ones known as the Anasazi. All roamed southern Utah over the eons, long before the Native Americans struggled to hold their land against the Mormon settlers, modern life, and now Donald Trump. Scroll. As President Trump arrives in Utah Monday afternoon, this rocky corner of the Wild West is a battlefield once again, but this time the warriors will carry briefcases and lawsuits. Trump, by signing 2 presidential proclamations on Monday, shrunk the size of Bears Ears National Monument by more than 80%, and the Grand Staircase Escalante National Monument by roughly 45%, fundamentally reshaping the 2 large national monuments. Man, fuck that guy.
I mean, why? Can you give me a why other than
For business?
I was going to say there's got to be an economical motivation behind it.
It's got to be resources. It's got to be national resources. It's got to be minerals or oil or something like that.
So, and that's my thing. Like, why? So, if you go to Fox News, right? Every leading above the break article is Hillary this, Hillary that. Why is that not leading?
Because they're
the
not
news?
really Americans. They're little puppets. I mean, this idea that they're there just for America, no, you're a puppet of the GOP. That's what they are. They're not really American. They're fucking corrupt. They're corrupt as everybody else is. They're the worst. Like that, the thing that if you have blind allegiance towards the president when he does stuff like this, that's crazy. You have to call it. And some people do, like that Shepard, what's his name? Shepard
Smith?
Yeah, that guy. Perfect eyebrows. He calls the president out.
Okay. I don't know if I've ever seen his eyebrows, but I'm going to text him.
It seems like he could have been one of those guys that was upset at Hillary Clinton up until about 2013.
Yeah, I think I hear what you're putting down there. But again, you know, so people they're losing their mind about tweets, and then the monument got cut by 80% and another one by 45%. And I mean, and that's one example. I don't know, man. And I agree with you, they are corrupt. And what I have found in myself, and again, what I think is dangerous, is that I've stopped paying attention.
Yeah.
And as soon as that happens, I don't know what the hell is going on.
Yeah, that's what happens with a lot of people. A lot of people just want to, I mean, you feel like you can't do anything other than vote, right?
Yeah.
Vote and protest. And you have a job and a family. How do you have time to protest? So a lot of people shut out because they just don't feel like they can represent their opinions in a way that's going to be meaningful and impactful.
Yeah.
And it's a terrible job. The job of having one chief monkey that controls 300 plus million people.
That's a good definition.
Yeah, and then here's the thing. If you are the chief monkey, if they show that you're a liar, if there's like proof that you're a liar, you should be removed from office. If you are in court, right, and you swear on a Bible and you commit perjury, you'd go to jail. Like, why is swearing into office for the United States, why is that less of a situation where you could be charged with perjury? Like, that seems to me to be far more significant. You're literally in control of the country. You can do things like this fucking thing that he signed that shrinks these monuments, these horrible reductions in the power that the EPA has. The fucking Environmental Protection Agency is to protect our very environment. He's like, no, we don't need that. We don't need protection. Trust me. We got me.
Yeah, you would think that he would be held more accountable because the stakes are so much higher, and it affects so many people.
Yeah, I mean, the amount of lies that he's told since office, they're stunning. And you can just get away with them.
Yeah.
You shouldn't be able to get away with lies as a president. I think lies as a president, willingly lying, there's one thing to being misinformed.
Yeah.
But willingly lying as the president, if they can show that you had information to the contrary of what you're saying, you should be removed from office.
Should be a disqualifying factor for sure.
100%.
Yeah.
100%. But we've never had someone that lies this much.
We just don't know about it.
Well, no one has been able to be proven to be this much of a liar. We've never had that. Where someone lies so much, you're like, what? How many? Like, there's a website that was documenting the number of times Trump lied. It was like they documented all the Trump lies over the past year, and it's crazy. It's so frustrating.
As of June 23rd.
Oh
it's just
my!
Like every day, here's a different one.
Yeah, I mean, what's that? What's the website called?
It's from the New York Times. It just says Trump lies on top. It's an opinion.
Yeah, I mean, scroll up and we could, or make it larger so I could read it here. Yeah, I don't know, man. I don't even want to read them. I'll just get super depressed.
Well, the only issue I have with that is that people were really quick to jump on that bandwagon, and all I would say is you should be prepared to have that level of scrutiny thrown back on yourself.
True.
Because, how fucking long would everybody else's list be? You know, I mean, that's the one thing that I haven't,
But once you get into office,
for sure,
would that list be the same? Like, if you knew, like if I say, Andy Stump, do you swear to take the office of the United States President and to do the whole thing, hand on the Bible? From there on, you got to know you have to keep your fucking shit together.
100%.
You can't lie.
Yeah, I agree. And like I said, I wish people would take that level of accountability on themselves as well, too. I think the country would be a better place if people acted as if there was an organization ready to write down a list of their deficiencies at any given time.
I think you're totally right. But I think that what we're seeing is, for the first time, like a president that is showing why we have a real flaw with this idea of one person being the chief dog.
I think he's scaring the piss out of people. Usually the topic swings back around to like nuclear weapons or nuclear war, and like, can this one guy really go and just hit the button?
Well, also, the real problem is, this guy's very strategic. I mean, he thought about re-election. He filed for re-election almost immediately.
Oh, did he really?
Yeah. There's a strategy for that, too, meaning that, I forget exactly what the strategy is, but it's in terms of how people are addressing him and how people are talking against him because they would be running for president. They would also be, if they're running for president, because he is a presidential candidate. There's like certain rules to behavior, and this is very calculated. Yeah.
What a chess move, man.
It's a big chess move. So this is what disturbs me the most about North Korea, because there's one way to ensure that people want to keep the same president, and that way is war. Like once you are in a war, say if we are 3+ years in, he's campaigning for president again, and it escalates with North Korea. The propaganda escalates, the lies, the bullshit, and who knows what the fuck happens. And then all of a sudden there's actual military action. That is going to ensure a re-election, I think.
Or it would, I could see that, or it would flip everybody against him. I could see it swinging both ways.
It could. It depends on how scared people are. It depends on if we get attacked. If we get attacked, I guarantee you he wins again. Because nobody's going to want Bernie Sanders. I'm going to go there and I'm going to promise them equality.
I think if we got attacked by North Korea, yeah, his escalation might be nuclear in level, and then we're glowing in the dark.
Yeah. If that shit works, if his stuff works.
I don't know. I tell you what, though, you want to talk about a war that I would want no part of? North Korea? Oh, daddy.
Yeah.
No, thank you. Rugged terrain, controlled environments. No, thank you very much. And they got some big old armies.
Just call on Elon Musk and send in the drones. Get those Boston Dynamic drones that can do backflips. Get those fucking new robots that they have.
I tell you what, right now the drones are carrying the lion's share.
Are they?
Yeah, I don't know if people realize how much. I mean, they are carrying probably the lion's share of the kinetic activity throughout the globe. I mean, they're doing as much as they can with that.
Really?
Yep.
Like how much drone activity do you think is going on that we don't know about?
That we don't know about? I have absolutely no idea. But I would have to imagine that it is. I would have to imagine that it's substantial. It's less risk from a risk to force perspective, because if you're looking at it as you're the person who has the drone, it's less risk because you're not putting a physical human being at risk or launching a force or an asset or a helicopter that could fill in the blank go wrong. And then on the other side of that risk, though, is that how are you really sure the person that you're going after is there? Are you really sure that they're alone? Are you really sure that you can action this target in a way that's not going to have collateral damage? So there's two different sides of the risk, and I think that right now the American populace would probably rather not see flag-draped coffins and just assume that business is being taken care of.
It's so disturbing. The idea of that getting turned around on us is even more disturbing.
Think about it from that perspective. If somebody launched a Tomahawk missile into downtown, or not Tomahawk because they're not on Hellfire, there you go, or JDAM, or fill in the blank.
Yeah.
In LA, China flies a drone over, or whatever, North Korea flies a drone over, and they just juice the U.S. bank building in downtown LA. How would we respond to that? I sit back and I just do mental judo in my head trying to figure out what the hell I did with almost 20 years of my life, and did it actually do anything important, and where is everything going, and like, what in the fuck was I doing for so long? I struggle with it quite often.
How so?
I worry that, so my biggest fear is that my children would have to finish something that I started. But I also think that the success that we had as a military drove the creation of the enemy that we're fighting. We took an organization that was largely geographically co-located, and we were so effective at finding them when they met in groups of people that they splintered and they spread apart. Which is, why now it's more effective to fly a drone over, as an example, Yemen. I have no idea if that's happening, but it's easier to have a drone over Yemen than an aircraft carrier sitting off the coast to do something about it. So now we have an enemy that was in a couple of countries that's now in 30, 40, 50, 60, 70 countries. And you can't really cut the head off of that snake anymore. And I look at, did I do anything that made my kids' lives safer? Did I do anything that made your daughter's life safer? And I would say in the moment, I feel like I had a difference in the moment, but I think in the grand scale of looking back, that everything that I was involved with, I almost think that the tide has washed it away. And it's very frustrating.
How so?
Because I was I was only able to impact the battle space that I was physically in.
Right, but imagine if you weren't there.
Well,
And imagine if others like you weren't there.
The role that we played, I think, is absolutely essential. And looking back on my career, I think the role of what I did was to create space and a barrier and a boundary so people in this country could be complete cunts and complain about their rights and freedoms and oppression and inequality and all that stuff. We have to create an environment where those things can thrive and flourish and be in a melting pot and figure out who we are. So we have to have that role. But what frustrates me is seeing what's going on in the country or seeing what's going on in the world and thinking that I was involved in something that was important, but just realizing all I was a point in time of sticking my finger in a dam that had 15 different water spouts coming out of it.
Right, so you didn't have a total solution, but you certainly mitigated the problem.
We mitigated the problem only but in that moment in time.
But if you weren't there to mitigate it in that moment in time, who knows how much it could have escalated.
Who knows? But who knows if the time that I was there mitigated the problem or kicked the football down the road and made it worse, and it's a problem that your kids or mine are going to have to solve in the future. And I don't know those answers. I was 100% and still am 100% committed and very proud of the actions that I took, because at the end of the day, I made the decisions of my actions. I got to wear, I was super lucky and privileged to wear the American flag on my uniform. And I got to be the example and the beacon of what I wanted the U.S. to be every time that I would encounter people who didn't know the U.S. was. They'd never seen an American before, and how I acted was the U.S. to them. So I think it was important, and I'm proud of those things, but I just hope at the end of the day I made a difference, instead of trying to run uphill on a soft sand berm and go nowhere.
Isn't that part of the problem with military action, too, is you don't really know what the result is ultimately going to be? I mean, everybody hopes, and you're there's two sides, right?
Correct.
They both hope that they win. They don't really know what the fuck the result's going to be.
And it's not a difference in commitment on either one of those sides. People need to understand that as well, too. It's not that I was more committed than the people that we were engaging with on a battlefield or anywhere in the world. It's a difference of opinion. They believe what they believe just as much as you and I believe what we believe, whatever the issue may be. And I don't know. I can't say who's right. I just did the best that I could do to try to fight for what it is that I believed in. And I don't know, it's tough at the end of the day to sit back and think and be like, God damn it, what did I do with my time?
Yeah. It's very weird when you think about what we're doing to the human body.
Yeah.
And when you're talking about the diabetes levels that you're talking about, or pre-diabetes and chronic disease and all the different issues and 40% obesity rate and all these different factors, it's an epidemic that's sweeping through the entire nation, and it's largely ignored other than health fads, weight loss videos. It's like peripherally examined.
I like to call it a slow motion plague.
Whoa.
Because like the bubonic plague, which was a fast motion plague, it threatens us in the same way. Like, it's literally threatening the health of future generations. It's shortening our lifespan. It's destroying our quality of life.
That's a big one. Even if you stay alive, the quality of life is being devastated.
There was a recent article that came out saying just that. Like, it was a paper that looked at what's happening in our older years and saying, yeah, we have a long lifespan, but our quality of life has significantly declined in those later years because we're burdened by all of these chronic diseases. The average something like 1 in 5 or 2 in 5 elderly people over 65 are taking more than 5 medications. It's a huge problem. And this is the thing, you hit on this point, so I want to reiterate it because it's super important. We have accepted chronic disease as normal because it's so common, but there's a really important difference between common and normal. What's common is not, not necessarily normal. It's now common for people to have chronic disease, but that's not normal.
Right.
How do we know? Again, the Samane, it's a subsistence farming hunter-gatherer population in Bolivia. And recently there's been some articles in the New York Times about them. There's some anthropologists, medical anthropologists who've gone, and doctors and researchers have gone down there to study them. They wanted to see that it's like, this is one of the last places on earth where people are still living pretty traditional diet and lifestyle, so we better study this quickly, to see what's normal, what's truly normal for humans. Not common, but normal.
Yeah.
So they eat, paleo type of diet, fruits and vegetables, some meat and fish, nuts and seeds, some plantains, other kinds of starches. They walk an average of 17,000 steps a day, which is about 8 miles, so quite a bit. They live in sync with the natural rhythms of light and dark. You know, they don't have a lot of artificial light exposure like we do.
Right.
They sleep 7 to 8 hours. In fact, the researchers are trying to ask them about insomnia. They don't even have a word for it in their language.
Wow.
Yeah.
They work.
Yeah, they're just, you know, they're living their normal, that's as close as we're going to get to a normal human population, right?
Yeah.
So they studied, they did blood markers on them for heart disease, but not only that, they did CT scans of their heart, you know, to see if they had calcification of the arteries. They found that the rate of heart disease in this population was 80% lower than it is in the U.S. 80% lower. Okay, 9 in 10 Tsimane adults that they studied had absolutely no plaque buildup in their arteries, which means they have virtually no risk of a heart attack as far as we understand it. And, you know, before anyone who's listening to this says, oh yeah, that's just because hunter-gatherers all die when they're 35 years old, you know, that familiar argument. Well, this study included people between the ages of 40 and 94 years old. What's more, the researchers estimated that the average Tsimane 80-year-old had the same vascular age as an American in his mid-50s.
Whoa.
There's almost no cognitive disorders or Alzheimer's disease in the Tsimane. So that's a really clear example of like what happens when you give human beings the right inputs and they're not exposed to all this crap that we're exposed to. They live long and healthy lives that are virtually free of chronic disease, and that's despite the fact that they have much higher rates of infection than we do. They live on a river. They've got parasites galore. Like, all of them have parasites.
Yeah.
And yet they still are healthier than us in almost every way you can measure it. They have lower body mass index, lower blood pressure, lower weight. They don't get heart disease. They don't get, you know, Alzheimer's and dementia, which is now like climbing up the list of causes of death, and, you know, tripling.
I'm glad you brought up Alzheimer's, because I read something recently. I didn't read the whole article. I just read the title of it, where it was connecting Alzheimer's to gut bacteria.
Yeah, absolutely. There's a strong...
What's up, guys? How long I've been here? Hour and a half. I'm gonna finish this painting today. I'm gonna try to finish this painting today.
It's actually something referred to as the gut-brain axis, which is this very well-known connection between the gut and the brain, and it goes both ways. So, you know, the gut can influence the brain strongly, and the brain can influence the gut strongly. So, I mean, my point is just that what you said, when are we going to realize that just these changes, you know, making these changes is what we need to do to prevent and reverse chronic disease? And we have these examples of people like the Tsimane that show us very clearly that it's the way we're living, not our genes, that are causing this chronic disease epidemic. So the easy way would be to, you know, write books about it, you know, have shows like this, keep educating people and doing that, and that's what I'm hoping for, and that's why I wrote my book. But the hard way is that our system fails, that it becomes so overburdened by the rising rates of chronic disease and the unsustainable expenses of that it basically falls apart. And it becomes, you know, we respond in a kind of to it as the crisis that it really is, because it becomes apparent at that point that our way that we've been doing it has not been working, and that we desperately need to find a new way. And that's another possibility. And which one you think is going to take place kind of depends on whether you're a glass is half empty or a glass is half full type of person.
Yeah, well, from your own personal point of view, if you're listening to this, don't rely on all those things to happen.
Yeah.
Just try to go out and do something about this for yourself.
And I think that's how it's really going to, my personal view is it's going to be a little of both, actually. So I think what's going to happen is you're going to start seeing some big changes on the more local grassroots level. So we've already
Yo, what's up, guys? Check a couple messages real quick. Everybody's sending Thanksgiving stuff. I don't celebrate the holidays. Hold up, I'm asking somebody a question. Hey, what's up, everybody? Chilling on what the day is. It's Friday? No, it's Thursday. Chilling on a Thursday morning.
seen stuff like this. Examples would be there's a group called Iora Health in Denver. It's a primary care group, and they're reversing type 2 diabetes with health coaches. They still see the doctor, but they work primarily with a health coach who does all those things that I just said. I wasn't making that up. They actually go to their house, they do pantry cleanouts, they go shopping with them, they teach them how to eat well. But more than that, they just provide they're like the account.
Yo, who heard Tekashi 6ix9ine in jail? Yo, and they won't give him bail either. Yo, he about to be somebody's girlfriend. He got that long, colorful hair too. Ooh wee. He about to be somebody's girlfriend in jail. I was listening to that yesterday on the Breakfast Club.
Travel tip, only pack what you need. Insurance tip.
About to take a break in a minute. Grab me something else to eat. I've been up eating all night, all morning.
have a charger? We're dying.
Yeah, just down here.
Bougie, what's up?
Music on the track.
Did that so fast. Wait, she's done? The look you want? At the pig.
They're bad when I'm right up on the canvas. But I have my the window is actually open. It's cracked open, so I'm trying to keep a little breeze in here. But it's kind of harsh when you're sitting right up on that canvas. You can smell it strong. You get a little bit of this permanent green light. It's probably one of the last colors I throw up on here, hopefully. I'm trying to wrap this thing up in like the next 30 minutes and call it done. And then I'm going to set it down for an hour and come back and look at it and be like, oh, I forgot to do that part. Oh, I forgot to do that. Oh, I can make that look better. What up, though? Let me take a little break for a hot second. So I can keep my mask off long enough to drink my little beer. Squishy, squishy, painless. Squishy, squishy, painless. Squishy, squishy, painless. Boy, that thing look legit. Especially that one little piece right here on this. Look, get up out here. The little smoky flame right there coming up off the shoulder right by the skull. I love this, just this one little area right here. Just that shoot. I don't know what it is about that little part right there. I love that part. What, my overhead light? This little box here from Lowe's. So my overhead light had a string on it, and I broke my string. So I put it on one time and doop, popped the string, but it stayed on. So then I had to unplug it and plug it in to turn it off and on. But then I just went and got like a little switch for it. I got all that from Home Depot. I don't use this one a lot, though. I can plug them both in at the same time if I want to, but sometimes it's overkill.
Never fly first class. Ruins flying in coach forever. And that's exactly why you should never get Hulu. Flat TV plus tons of shows and movies that'll ruin TV for you forever.
anyone have a charger? We're dying.
Yeah, just sit down here.
I'm dying.
Mm-hmm. what you guys say? Yes, no? I think I'm done with this one. Yeah, I think that's a wrap for that piece. On to something else.
She did that so fast.
Wait, she's done?
The look you want at the pace you want.
Hey Google, play Sephora contouring video. Hey Google, pause.
That's help at a glance with Google Home Hub.
MK music on the track.
Still get this ugly glare. Let's see if I do it this way. Yeah, I swear it's almost impossible to get a good picture in here. Especially on a wet canvas. Yo, the glare is everywhere. ridiculous. I just want to take a picture. You don't know how frustrating this is right now. I go through this every time. And there is, like, for certain pictures, depending on the colors, they pick up more reflection or less light shine. And so sometimes it's easy, but with darker colors, like, that shine is just like, it's all on the picture. And it looks terrible. And so sometimes I don't put a filter on my photographs from my phone, but I will kind of like tone down the brightness or the exposure sometimes, because the highlights, the shine would be so bad. On the other thing, really, for natural light is to like take it outside and just get like some natural outside light, but it's too messy outside. I think that right there is about as good as it's gonna get. That black thing on my easel, a tablet holder. It's a tablet holder that I use for a paint palette holder. but it's made for a tablet, for like a put on your desk or whatever, like your office desk. So you just, but aha, I don't need a tablet holder. I need a paint palette holder. Voila. What up, Renard? Yo, that's my son's name, son. But yeah, this is it's a pretty good idea. If you don't have one yet, yeah, just get a tablet holder and then put your paint palette in it. Alright guys, I'm about to post one of these pictures on my Instagram. You guys gotta hurry up and be the first people to like my new painting. The new post of my painting on Instagram, yeah. Alright. Everybody make sure you guys are on my Instagram real quick. Let's see how this thing's gonna go. So which one of these is the best looking picture? 1 or 2? 1 or 2? 1 or 2? I'm just crop both of them real quick and just see how they look cropped. I could have some music playing in the background while I do this, but I love the sound of my own voice making noises. Yes, I will admit it. Edit, crop pictures, crop this down, buddy. Just crop you down, up to the edge, fool. All the way to the edge. Okay, done. Now you two are cropped down. And wow, I still think number 1 might look better. Well, number 2, let's see. What if I do this? Done. Okay. All right. I think I'm gonna post this one. It looked very, very similar, but I think the second one with just a little teeny itty bit of I adjusted the contrast in the black point. All right, you guys ready? I think I'm gonna post it right this very. Not yet. Hold on. I'm scratching my hand. So the post is ready. Let's see. Okay. Major shout out to Butch Larkson from LA for the source material. Major shout out to Butch Sloxon from LA for the source material. His performances are totally amazing. You gotta check out his work. That sounds pretty good. That's a good shout out and recognition to the performer. So and I'm gonna share it right now. Right now. I just hit the share button. Alright, so that should be on Instagram. So if you guys are on my Instagram, could you go up there real quick and start hitting the like button so this painting can start floating around, letting people see this thing. I'm gonna log out and I'm gonna go eat up some food and play some video games because I just got finished with a painting and I'm feeling kind of proud of myself. I know it's but a small accomplishment, but someone has to do it. Someone has to be the vanguard of the arts. Alright guys, go to Instagram, like right now. It's been up there for 2 seconds and no one's liked it yet. That's not good. I got some other stuff I need to do though. Oh, I gotta clean my brushes out before I leave. See they, boy, trying to move too fast. I would have left out with all these dirty brushes up here. Ain't that something? That's poor artsmanship. That's very, very poor artsmanship. Don't leave your brushes dirty. All of them too. I messed up. Oh, I'm about to leave all the brushes dirty. All of them. Whole handful of brushes. You wash them off in that thinner and dry them out real good on the cloth and get that thinner out of it, and then you dip them in some, this is baby oil, and the baby oil will get that last little stubborn pigment that's left like deep in the bristles. It'll get all of that out. have to do these again. Jesus. I guess that thinner bath didn't hardly clean out any of this dang on paint. That's a lot of paint still in there. Look at that baby oil. And that's after I dipped them in the thinner and washed them out in the thinner and put them in that baby oil. But that baby oil pulled all that little paint out of there. Now that was so much paint. I want to do that again, just to make sure. Yo DJ, thanks for the compliment. And hell yeah, I've thought about displaying at a museum. We actually have to have a name. Museums and galleries are really different. A gallery will take almost anybody with talent. That's how you get in the gallery. You prove your talent and you can show at a gallery, but you got to make a name for yourself before you can get into a museum most of the time. You know what I'm saying? So I'm just still building my name. I had an opportunity to show at a museum for like a little community show, but that kind of fell through. So we'll get there though. Don't worry. Oh, we would definitely get there, but I'm at galleries and I'm headlining shows all the time. So it's only a matter of time. It's only a matter of time. Yeah, I think I have to drop off art this week coming for First Friday. When is what day is First Friday for December? I gotta definitely get some art down there for that show. Alright. Those are clean. So after one thinner bath and 2 baby oil baths. Let me just do this again. And 2 baby oil baths, you're still pulling that much pigment out of the brush. That's a lot of color that's left in there. Which is good in a way. That lets you know that the paints I use are good paints. They have a lot of high quality pigment, and that's why they're so hard to clean. But in order to save your brushes and prolong the life of your brushes, you have to keep them clean. December the 7th is the first Friday. I'll probably have to drop some art off by the 28th or 29th. I'll get some art down to the gallery because they got a whole week into the first week of the month. So what, the first day of the damn month is what, Sunday or Saturday? No. Yeah, it gotta be like a Saturday or some shit. Anyway, so yeah, I'll drop some art off at the gallery like the 27th or 28th, and then they'll have time to hang it by the 7th. But that's good. So yeah, I got First Friday coming up. I got the Kwanzaa Festival on the 9th coming up. I have to sit and talk with the owner of another gallery here shortly about doing a solo show. I have one more, a 2-man show coming up next year. So there's just tons and tons of stuff on my list. Working on a new series for myself, working on a couple of commissions. I'm doing drawing instructions and tutorials on my Patreon. And I even got an email for another commission. But I'm emailing different artists, trying to get more people to interview for my TV show. And so there's just a bunch of stuff coming up in 2019, and we're going to keep it on the ball so that by 2020 I'll be in a museum somewhere. T-Row? I don't know. There's I don't know. I'm trying to study marketing too, and one thing that a lot of marketers say, don't spread your stuff out too far so that people can see it here and see it here and see it here and see it here and see it here. So I have a couple of home bases for my own stuff, which is my Equid shop that's connected to my Facebook page, my YouTube, and me basically at galleries, and I have a couple of galleries that represent me. So not knocking the tip, but I've tried to do that previous, and just having your stuff everywhere, all spread out, and it's just, you get more likes than cash. You know what I'm saying? If you want to really market and sell, you just need one home base and bring everybody to one base, so that prices don't switch and change. And oh, I saw one painting listed for this much on this site and this site and that site. Yeah, and I just do like Facebook ads and Instagram ads and stuff like that. So that's kind of a way to promote. And you guys, you can promote me. You know what I'm saying? That's the best way to promote, is word of mouth. Like, yo, go check out my homie's Instagram page. You want some art? Hit him up. You know what I'm saying? Check out his YouTube channel. Share some videos. That's cool. I'll definitely check it out. You know what I'm saying? Like, for a long time I didn't have that Equid site set up for the online shop. But most of my sales are just direct sales. Like, directly just contact me. Let me know what you want. You know? Oh man. Another one in the bag. Ooh, boy, another one in the bag. I'm knocking these things out lately. I haven't. The MD Museum of Art? No. Oh, the banner? Can you see the banner right here? Check out my Facebook, Instagram, Tumblr, Twitter. Everything is paintings by the Prince. Yeah, all of this right here. Have any pages? Everything is the same thing though. So no matter which one you go to, if you type in paintings by the Prince, it should come right to me. You can just Google Travis Prince art or Travis Prince artist, or you can like Google paintings by the Prince and some stuff will pop up. I'm Googleable. So that's how I know I'm kind of getting there a little bit. I say you just gotta have a name for yourself. So once you can Google yourself, Googleable. Yeah, you're able to be Googled. Google able. So I just put in Travis Prince artist, and the first thing that pops up is Travis Prince Paintings by the Prince Instagram, Paintings by the Prince Facebook, artist painting, my LinkedIn site, and then it goes through. Google even has like a list of all my paintings up here now, or some of them, and then some pictures are other people with similar names. But like the first 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 images are my paintings. 6, 7 paintings of mine that they have up there. Scroll down some more. It's more art of the day, Travis Prince, and my YouTube channel. So everything is, all my stuff is on Google now. So I can't hide from nobody at all. Why? Because I'm Googleable. And that's why it's like, is that your real name? Like, yes, it's my real name. You can Google that. you can Google all that. All right, guys, I'm gonna get out of here. What we did, 3 hours? That's what it is. So I was in here a little bit earlier this morning, like 2 a.m., like 4 a.m. in the morning. In here up, just painting. Got back in here like, I don't know, like 9-ish, 10, it was like 10 something, 10:30. And I came back in here, and now it's 1:05, and we're done with the painting today. So I think I'm just gonna chill the rest of the day, bruh. I ain't doing nothing else. I got done with a painting. Yeah. I got done with a drawing the other day, done with a painting today. I'm almost done with another commission. I got another painting to go right behind this one. I'm on the ball, baby. I'm on the ball. You know what I'm saying? I just gotta finish the year out like this. You know what I'm saying? Slide in the home base, stand up, dust myself off on January the 1st, and get ready for another up at bat. You know? Take another swing. Try to hit that bitch out the park again next year. Oh, his record's impeccable. Is he pointing for the stands? No, I think he's pointing at the MD Museum of Modern Art. So, I'll catch you guys later. I'm going to go play video games. I'm going to stream Red Dead Redemption 2. Nobody ever watches me. I keep telling people I'm putting together a comic sketch. Watch, yo. Nobody ever watches me play video games. But I just let people know anyway. Just in case you might want to watch me play video games. It's boring as fuck. But ain't nothing else to do. So I catch you guys downstairs. Peace.